In this last practice set, we are asked to determine some information about the parabola without graphing it. This is important for doing analysis on parabolas without having to take the time to graph every single one of them. So the first function is f of x equals 4 times the quantity x plus 5 squared minus 6. We know that 4 is our a value and negative 6 is our k value. And h is the value that is after the x in the binomial grouping. So we're going to ask ourselves first what the opening is. Is it opening up or down? And we know since a is greater than 0, it is opening upwards. We need to know if the width of this function, meaning how wide the parabola would be compared to the standard x squared, whether it will be wider or narrower. Since the width is determined by the value of a, we know that a greater than 1 will vertically stretch the parabola. It will cause an increase at a much faster rate in the range. So if a is greater than 1, will be narrower. Our vertex is at the value of h, which is negative 5, and our height, which is shifted down, so negative 6. Our axis of symmetry is always the x value in the vertex, so x equals negative 5. We also need to determine if we will have a maximum or minimum and what that value is. Since this function is opening upwards, we know that we will have a minimum. That minimum value is always the y-coordinate portion of the vertex, so y equals negative 6 is the minimum. In part B, we have h of x equals negative 2/7 times the quantity x minus 6 squared plus 3. We know that this function is opening downward because a is less than 0. So downward. And the parabola will be shaped like this, opening as kind of like an upside down U. The width of this function is based on the value of a. Since a is between negative 1 and 0, we could also say that the absolute value of a goes between 0 and 1. This means that our width is wider. Our vertex is always at the values of h and k, and since h is negative inside the parabola, or inside the standard form, we know that our vertex will be at 6, 3. Our axis of symmetry is always the value of x in the vertex, or 6 in this case, and the max or min is always the y value of the vertex coordinate point, so y equals 3. The max or min is determined by whether the function is opening upwards or downwards. In this case, it is opening downwards, so we have a maximum at the point 6, 3.